Here we have a nice pair of blue Star Junipers. Don't see them very often, so let's see if they'll bonsai. Hello, welcome to Verdigris Bonsai. Here we have our first blue Star Juniper to work on. As you can see, we've got a nice lot of roots in there. You've seen me work on the roots before, so I'm going to just crack on and I'll see you in a moment. Nice big pile of soil and roots from that tree, and now it's ready to go into the pot. So the next job will be to scrim it. So I'm using scrim tape here because it's just a little bit easier than using mesh. As you can see, you just stick it into the bottom of the pot and it's done. That should stick quite well. Pat it in, and now we'll just check that the tree fits. It's being a bit awkward, this tree, it does want to lean. I am quite confident that the tree is going to fit into the pot and I don't need to do any more root work or remove any more roots. So the next job will be to pot it up. Before we do that, of course, we do need to work out which is the front and how this tree is going to go into the pot. There are some nice branches all the way around, which makes it a little tricky, so I'm doing lots of deliberating. I've made my mind up now. Towards the back there is a large root that I can use as an anchor point, which has helped me make my decision. So now I need to wire the pot. To wire up a pot, you hopefully cut it to the right length first time, and then you bend it into a U shape like this. And in this case, with a pot with 2 holes in it, you feed it through the 2 holes. And that one went through first time, surprisingly easy. I have found that the pot, the gauze and the wire can all factor in, and sometimes it's easier than others, but that one was easy. And now the next task is to place a small mound of soil into the middle of the pot. This is the bonsai mix from Adam over at Notion Bonsai. Seriously, I recommend his soil and I recommend his channel. Adam is brilliant. So what I've done there is just nestle the tree into the soil to make sure that it sits correctly and the soil has gone into the roots, so there are no air pockets below. I'm following Greenwood's example here and covering the roots up before I try wiring the tree in, but I do just want to make sure that the wire goes underneath that root before I lose it and cover it up. That's done, so I'm just going to add the rest of the soil in place. That branch just got in the way, and now using a chopstick, just wiggling the soil down in between those roots. Again, making sure there are no air pockets. Now that I'm happy, I'm just going to do the wiring in. So what I do is I hold the tree in place as best as I can. It's not very easy when you've only got 2 hands. And then grabbing the 2 ends of the wire where they cross, you pull and you twist. I think in the future I won't work on a tree all at once. The wire's getting in the way, isn't it? Let's chop that off. I am quite tired. I've been working on this tree for a long time already. Those roots took nearly an hour to perfect, and realistically it's probably not very good for me or the tree doing everything in one go. So I think in future what I'll do is I'll pot them, water them, let them sit, and then do the wiring. I'm just using the gym pliers here to poke that wire into the soil so it can't hurt anybody. And now we're just giving it one more go with the chopstick, just to make sure that no air pockets have appeared while we've been doing the wiring. That's the tree nicely secure in the pot, and now we can get on with the wiring. I'm going to use the 2 branch principle. So I've just given that tree a drop of water just to make sure it doesn't dry out while I'm working on it, and now I can relax and take my time, which I probably will because this tree is quite small. And this type of tree, Blue Star, feels quite a bit more delicate than the carpet juniper. I don't know if that's the case really, but it's the impression I got while I was touching it. The foliage is very soft, whereas the carpet juniper will poke in you. It's quite hard. Let me know in the comments if you've worked with this sort of juniper and how you've got on with it. Personally, I love it. I think it's really attractive. but working on it I found quite challenging. But I don't know if that is just because I was hot and tired. What I'm doing here is just determining how I want the branches to go and where I think the front should be. And then I decided I needed to use my turntable and found a stowaway on the bottom. It's a type of snail that's actually quite beneficial in the garden, so I didn't want to crush it, so I've just moved it out of the way. And now we can crack on. So I'm still having a good look, but I've decided that I need the tree to be more at head height, so I'm just going to make another quick adjustment. Yeah, that's much better. I don't know why I don't always do this. It should be a habit that I develop, but sometimes I think of it, sometimes I don't. But I do recommend working with the tree at head height, especially if it's a small tree. It does make it much easier. And I'm just going to remove anything that is in the way, anything that obscures the trunk at the front, anything that's growing down a little bit too much, anything that's a bit too floppy, and anything that's just in the wrong place. I do recommend when you are styling a tree for the first time that you take your time over it, really think about where everything is and how you want it to look. Once you remove something, you cannot put it back. Also, junipers backbud much better when the bulk of their foliage is left alone during the growing season. That's because junipers rely heavily on their needles for strength. If you remove too much foliage, it will stop transpiration and slow down nutrient movement, and it can kill off branches and even harm the entire tree. With all that in mind, I'm going to wait until the autumn to really get working on this tree. This is just an initial styling, just to see what we have. You can actually see some new shoots coming at the back of that tree. They're much paler and much bluer than the rest of the foliage. There is a branch that needs to come off because it's hanging down too much and actually touching the top of the pot. I'll just turn it around so that you can see. It's that one there. So we'll take that one off now. That's much better, isn't it? The branch is still hanging down, but I'm going to wire it. Just remove another little bit that's hanging down just a bit too much. As I say, I'm just trying to get a balance between working on the tree without overworking the tree. So we're just removing a few little bits here and there just to make it look better. I think that front is looking quite a bit clearer now. Now we're onto the wiring. I'm just going to test the gauge of wire against the tree. Now you can't really see it, but although the wire is making the branches flex, some of those branches are just a little bit too thick for the wire, so the wire was starting to bend as well, which means that it's not going to hold the tree very well, so I've just gone up a gauge. The trick with wiring is definitely to get the balance right between going overkill and not giving it enough. You just want it to be strong enough to hold the tree without bending it too much. Not only can a wire that's too thick hurt the tree, damage the tree, but it can also make the bends look wrong. So you really want to get it right. So we're using the old reliable, tried and tested 2-branch principle now. What you do is you anchor the wire to one branch and then wrap around the trunk and then go on to the next branch. So you're wiring the two branches to each other, but they can be moved and positioned independently of each other because they've got that trunk as a anchor point. And this is the point where you get to rate my wiring from 1 to 10. Using a turntable at eye level definitely helps with this. All the same, it's not easy. I'm still having to go back and redo it, but we get there in the end. As you can see, the foliage makes it a little bit difficult. Got to do this quite gently. You don't really want to trap anything if you can help it. No branches, no needles. So we really do need to take our time with this part. That's one side done. Now we just need to tighten it up on the other. Again, unfortunately, this is really not something that you can rush. You really have to take your time over it. I'll be honest, if I was given the option, I would remove those lower branches, but it's such a small tree, you'd end up with very little left. So for the time being, at least, I am leaving those branches as they are and just bending them into shape. Now I'm going to start shaping these branches. Let's have a look. You don't want them to touch the pot, and you don't really want them to come up too much, but they're already almost touching the soil as it is. I'll see how they do for now, and I might consider ginning one of these later, or perhaps even remove both of those low branches if there's enough to be carrying on with later. But for now, this is the best we can do. As I say, I'll take a proper look at these trees in the autumn, give them another style, and work on the foliage, cut it back a bit. This really is just an initial styling, just so that we can see the bones, as it were, and start forming a plan with it. Now, I really don't think that's too bad in terms of a initial styling during the wrong season. I am quite happy with the way this is starting to look. I could wire all the way up into the tree. I am going to wire a couple more branches higher up right now, following the same principle as before. But I'm probably not going to wire everything right now. It's, as I say, it's the wrong time of year. You can't really see what you're doing up there. And this is just to open it up and get the light in on those needles. And hopefully get some back budding going. I'm just going to speed it up again for you. That's the wire on, so now I'm going to very gently manipulate those branches, try to get them into the right position. Now that that trunk has opened up, I can see that it is leaning a bit too far forward. You're not really going to be able to see into that trunk very well. So I'm going to turn the tree around and make the front the back and the back the front. Even with all that foliage, you can see, can't you, that you will be able to see into that trunk much better on that side. So all I'm going to do is gently move those branches around so that they cover that bald area that I've made by opening up the trunk on the wrong side, and hopefully that will then open up the trunk and cover the back and open the front. It is a bit frustrating sometimes. It's just the way it goes. I spent ages deliberating with this tree, and I really couldn't see the problem until I'd opened up that trunk. Just to avoid making any further mistakes now, I'm just going to remove a extra apex that doesn't need to be there. And now the apex that's left looks much better. And now I'm going to get shaping with those branches. As I say, we're just going to very gently, so we don't break them, move those branches around to the back, just to cover up the tree, the trunk that I've uncovered on the wrong side. I will turn this around in a moment so that you can have a look and see what you think. In all honesty, I think I need a little bit more experience with junipers. This is the first one that I've styled. That said, truly I think that this tree looks much better than it did a moment ago. I'm going to do just a little bit more shaping, but I am happy with this tree. Welcome back. Trying a different camera angle with this one, just so that you get to see a different perspective. I do find it quite difficult to show you what I am doing when you're facing me, but this also is challenging, so we'll see. Let me know which perspective you prefer down in the comments, or if you don't have a preference, let me know. So this time I'm scrimming the pot before I start. Now that is because a couple of times I've wanted to measure the tree in the pot, and I don't want to do that if I want to apply scrim tape to the pot, because any soil left behind after checking the tree in the pot makes it very difficult for the scrim to stick. So I thought ahead this time. Now, as before, I won't show you all of my root work because it is quite repetitive, but seeing as we're doing it from a different camera angle, I will just say, to avoid tearing the roots, you need to start in the middle, at the base of the trunk as I'm doing, and work your way outwards. But to make it a bit quicker, you can go from the top down along the sides, like I'm doing here. And you can also work from the middle outwards at the bottom as well. That will help tease out those roots and get the soil out from between them. I think you've seen enough of this demonstration now, so I will be back in a moment. Hello again. I'm just about to wire up the pot. We begin by cutting a length and bending it into a quick U shape, and then feeding it through the 2 holes at the bottom. You just want to make sure it's flush with the bottom and that you don't have a loop that sticks out of the bottom. We're using the same mix as before. This is what I call my pine mix that I get from Motion Bonsai. As always, we need a mound of earth in the bottom of the pot in the middle to sit the tree on and get it into the right position. So that's enough soil for the minute. Let's get the tree, and as before, nestle it into that soil, compact it down, make sure that the soil is working its way into those roots from beneath. I think I'm finding it a little bit difficult to see here, and I'm not surprised because I've forgotten to put the tree up on the box. I don't know why I did it the first time and not the second time, but that's just the way I am sometimes, unfortunately. As I did last time, I found a point that I can anchor the wire between the roots, so I've just moved the wire over before I start covering the roots completely, just to make it a little bit easier for me. And as before, I take a chopstick and just make sure that there are no air pockets amongst the roots. Just work that soil down in. I'm not going to show you all of it because you have seen me do this before, so I think you get the idea. So now I'm going to take the gym pliers and, as before, just going to wire that tree in. So secure the tree and then pull and twist with the other hand. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will probably notice that the tree is leaning somewhat, and that's because there were more roots on one side of the tree than the other, and I couldn't really do very much without taking off a lot more root. So I've just done the best I can for now, Again, this is an initial styling. I would like to have another go at it later and perfect it somewhat. So the next task now is to remove that tail. There we go. And then with the gym pliers, poke that end back under the soil so it can't hurt anyone. Right, now this is the moment you've been waiting for. We're going to start styling with clip and grow. Now, as I said with the last one, I don't want to remove too much too soon. So this is just going to be a nice gentle first styling, and I will do more to it in the autumn when the growing season is over. I think really the most important thing is to remove anything that's dead, weak, plus any old needles. Despite my inexperience with this species though, I really love this tree. I think they are a joy to work with. I just need a bit more experience and a bit more confidence. And most definitely to work on them at the right time of year. Watching this back, I really do appreciate that this wasn't the best camera angle. I could have done with having the camera a bit lower and the tree a bit higher. It would have helped me a lot if the tree was higher as well. So I will take that into account in the future and try to do better. I am still learning how to make videos. I'm still quite new to this channel, and I hope every video is a little better than the one before. I really am focusing here on the old needles and trying not to remove too much growth right now. Thankfully, in this species, the growing tips really stand out, so I am definitely avoiding them more than anything else. I mentioned earlier that next time around I would pot the tree one day and style it another, and looking back at this one, I really think it would be a good idea. The thing that is really taking the time on this is locating all those old needles and removing them from the bark, and that really is a job in itself with this type of tree. So I think it would have been better if I had just potted it, put it to one side, taken my time over removing those needles, and then styled it later. So in the future, that is what I would do. So specifically with this one, I don't know if all junipers are the same. I've not styled my carpet juniper yet. I potted it when it was very stressed. Last year it needed to go into a pot with better soil, so I did that. I can't even remember if I worked on the roots or not. And I left it alone to grow. It didn't grow all last growing season. It has put on some shoots now. Anyway, I'm digressing. But yeah, when I work on the carpet juniper, it will be interesting to compare notes with these guys and learn where they're similar and where they're different. I think that is about done. Let me know if you have a favourite method or a favourite tree. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much.